We are reading Robert Monroe's Ultimate Journeys. We are on chapter 7, page number 85 of the book and page number 49 of the PDF.
More recent concepts hold that our human consciousness flickers back and forth between left and right brain as situations arise during our daily physical life. When we perform calculations, our left brain is dominant. When we listen to music, our right brain takes over. Peak performance comes when both left and right brain thinking are integrated, unified, synchronous.
So again, certain activities, the left brain is predominant. Certain activities, the right brain is predominant, right? Now, what are we looking for when we are doing the Monroe processes is going into whole brain states of consciousness where we have access to both sides of the brain simultaneously. And that is when peak performance takes place. When we look at sportsmen, they go into something called the zone. The zone happens also when you go into a whole brain state of consciousness. Your entire body system, the mental, emotional states are all synchronized, right? And that's when the sports people also perform their best.
A kind of cultural subwar has been going on for centuries and has come to the surface only in recent years. The dominant left-brainers consider the dominant right-brainers to be basically unfit for existence in the Earth life system and tend to regard them with contempt or disbelief. The dominant right-brainers look on the others as unimaginative, dull, over-materialistic, unfeeling, and lacking in spiritual values.
So the left brain people, basically what has happened in society as we know it in these times is that the left brainers are dominant, right? They are more left brainers than right brainers. Left brainers are all logical. The right brainers are more, they look at the gestalt. They're more artistic. They look at more at spirituality, etc. Right? So again, both of them are countering each other.
It is time now to declare peace in this battle and to set right this dangerous misunderstanding. Our prime and fundamental purpose, aside from learning through experience in being human, is to acquire and develop what we label intellect, left brain consciousness. We do not need to act similarly with our right brain abilities because we already have them. We brought them with us. Somehow they were inherent.
So things like, a mother's love for her child, right? This is a right brain thing and it is inherently there. It is naturally there. What we learn in school and through experience are more right brain activities than left brain activities.
It is the left brain capability that is of exquisite value when we visit or return to the there beyond time space. It is the left brain that removes the limitation on our growth that were present prior to our sojourn here. Only left brain function can make unknowns into knowns, dissolve fears, enhance experience, open new vistas, clean out the false belief system, refuse. It is the left brain that takes any idea, information, or inspiration emanating from or via the right brain and puts it into action. By any standards, something of value cannot become real unless and until the left brain takes over.
So understanding of the experience that we are experiencing can come only from the left brain, right? The right brain just experiences. There is no question of any understanding of what is happening when we are operating from the right brain. The understanding only comes from the left brain. As we keep talking, there is the experience and then there is the knowledge, right? The experience is from the right brain, the experience, the feeling of the experience. But the understanding, the knowledge can only come from the left brain. And we have growth, we have wisdom only when both are working together?
For millennia, the human right brain has not changed. It has not grown or evolved. It is the same as it always was. In contrast, left brain consciousness has been steadily evolving, either by design or necessity. In the past century, this growth has become an exponential curve, not simply in one or two individuals, but in literally millions of humans throughout the period. Today, the left brain has probed so deeply into the rhyme space phenomenon that there seem few areas left to explore without recycling and repetition. The energy fields in the there are ripe for exploration. By its very nature, the left brain cannot help becoming involved in constructive evaluation and application. The right brain is forcing it to do so, and the right brain is in charge. What has happened is that our left brain has become so thoroughly entrenched, and justifiably so, in providing means of survival in the Earth life system that it resists anything and everything that may interfere with or interrupt the process. What occurs beyond time space in the there does not calculate by ordinary Earth life system standards. More important, information from there appears to have no value for Earth life system inhabitants. Only when our left brain recognizes that such knowledge is a most vital tool for growth in the there will specific interest be generated.
So all the downloads, etc., happen from the right brain, right? But the left brain has to understand it, has to analyze it, has to inculcate it for it to be of value in this Earth life system. And when we can analyze, when we can do calculations, when we can understand what is happening with the left brain, when we go there, which is not existing in the Earth life system, that analytical ability is what is revered in those expanded states of consciousness.
Our different overview includes most emphatically the maturing talents of our left brain. As we have said, that's what we came here to acquire. Dominant right brainers find this difficult or impossible to accept.
So again, if you're totally a right brain person, logic will not work for you. Everything just is, right? But the logic to understand is very, very important.
Our different overview includes most emphatically the maturing talents of our left brain. As we have said, that's what we came here to acquire. Dominant right brainers find this difficult or impossible to accept. As it is the boss, the right brain often forces the left brain to perform in a way that tends to destroy thousands of years of evolution. Meanwhile, our left brain continues to pick up the usable ideas and inspirations of the right brain and make them into something of value. It tolerates the non-productive right brain patterns as long as they don't get in the way. It also heavily distorts some right brain patterns to convert them into the Earth life system, survivor-predator organization.
So,
For our different overview, here are two definitions.
so just wait 1 second, Shilanda. So see, ultimately, all decisions are emotional in nature. Suppose you are interviewing certain candidates for employment, and the qualifications of two candidates are absolutely the same. How will you decide which one is better? That becomes the right brain's prerogative, right? So what he's saying here is that the right brain is actually the driver. Our feelings are actually the driver, right? The feelings are related with the heart, which is related with the right brain of our brain. The logic is very, very important. And the logic is now exerting pressure on the right brain also to make it understand things in the way that the left brain looks at things.
Left brain equals to human mind modified by the earth life system. Right brain equals expression of the core self, the timeless, non-physical part of us, untouched and unaffected by the earth life system. The trick is to get both left and right brain into simultaneous and synchronous action, nudging the left brain more and more into taking part in the there activity. You should never abandon one for the other.
So we need both sides of the brain because certain activities are performed better by the right brain, others by the left brain. But when we can get them working together, that's when the magic starts to happen.
Once all this is in place, you may find that the following points will help. Number one, always know and remember that you are more than your physical body. This will provide instant perspective on any Earth life system activity. The agony becomes tolerable, the ecstasy more profound. Locally induced fears evaporate.
So again, this is the basically the only dogma followed in the Monroe Institute, that you are more than your physical body. This is something that we have so many equipments now to explain this to us, to show us that we are actually more than our physical body. Okay. Now, once we accept that, then the fears that we operate with in this earth life system can get transcended. Because if we are more than the physical body, all the hurt and the agony that we normally feel is in the physical body. But if we can understand and realize that we are more than the physical body, then that fear and that agony can get tempered.
Number two, recognize and control your survival drive. Use it instead of allowing it to use you. Here are some suggestions. A.
So the survival drive is the pyramidal function, right? And everything is screened towards that if we do not apply logic to it, right? So applying logic to the survival drive becomes very important.
A. One part of the formula, physical life is equal to good, is needed for the earth life system and is acceptable during your stay. The other part, physical death, equals bad. You can discard because you will know better.
So what does this mean? As soon as the left brain can start understanding the activities of the right brain and understand that we exist here and there at the same time, the fear of death can get transcended, right? So you do not need to carry that thing that physical death is bad, that can be transcended.
B. Remember that your ultimate goal is not physical survival. Thus, while it is valid that you are here to do certain things and there are functions you must perform to be here to do them, you don't need to be desperate about it. Accidents may happen, but you cannot lose. You have had the experience of being human.
So ultimately, we all know that all of us die physically, right? This is a given. Now, in the first point, he said you need to transcend the fear of the physical death, right? Now, once you've transcended that, we understand that physical survival can never be a goal for anyone because ultimately we are going to die. Now, having said that, while we are in this earth life experience, we have come with a particular agenda to achieve, right? All of us have decided that we will achieve this agenda when we come here. This is something that we get to know really properly in Exploration 27 and to a certain level in Lifeline programs, where we come to really see that we decide what we want to do over here. Now, it can happen that we do not land up doing what we have decided to do, but that is besides the point. You've still had the earth life experience, which is revered in the there, simply because you've had that particular experience.
C. The sexual reproductive drive is the most powerful animal instinct of the earth life system. designed specifically for physical survival of the species. It controls and is manipulated to control most aspects of human behavior. Enjoy it, but there's no need to live or die for it. And enjoy the manipulations for what they are. Succumb only knowingly.
So we need to transcend the sexual drive also, which is again a primordial drive for survival of the species. So we should enjoy it, but not get manipulated by it, right? It should not be the end all for all of our life here in this earth life system.
D. Physical assets, material, food, tools, toys, are great for local use, but ownership is only a matter of temporary convenience. You not only cannot, but you would not want to take them with you, not even your physical body.
So again, attachment to material assets is actually useless because it is going nowhere. When we go into the there, we really don't take anything back from here apart from the experiences and the knowledge that we have gained. Okay. So paying attention to the experiences is actually more important than accumulating physical things around us.
Number 3, maintain your transient status. You are being human at your own option in the strictest sense. That option remains in force throughout your visit. You may pack up your experience and leave whenever and for wherever you desire, with no censure or penalties from any source that matters. If your human mind is satisfied, you will do this in spite of local custom or effort. Earth life system addicts may not understand, but that is their problem.
So again, we are here because we desire to be here. Okay, we are not forced to be here. And what he's clearly stating over here is that we can pack up and leave at any time. It is our decision to be here, and it will be our decision technically to leave, right? Now, many times people get addicted to the Earth life system and they don't want to leave, but that is totally a different matter. Because over here, because of the stimulations that you receive, it can really become addictive, right? You want to experience more experiences, more experiences, more experiences. And the experiencing is literally endless away. So you can get stuck away.
Number 4, enjoy your life in the system. Maximize your highs and lows, but don't become addicted. Get through being angry at how the system works, the seeming inequities, the unfair advantages, the brutalities, the callousness, the deceit. It's a predator world by design, and it's a superb teaching machine.
So again, we experience a lot of experiences here, right? But if we get stuck, then it can become a major problem. This is a learning place. It is not a place to get addicted, right? And we are over here, we become selfish because survival is something that is inbuilt in us. And again, that is what we need to transcend. When you transcend that, and like in the Gita also, it says, right, don't be attached to anything. Now, if we are attached, it creates a problem. We need to be detached in experiencing the experiences.
Number 5, exercise your human mind as fully as possible, knowing it is only an exercise. Build beautiful artifacts, solve problems, smell the flowers, and watch the sunsets. Compose music, explore the secrets of the physical universe, savor the input from all your five senses, absorb the nuances of close relationships and situations. Feel the joy and sorrow, the laughter, the empathy, compassion, and tuck all of the emotional memory in your travel bag.
So the only thing that we will carry back is the experiences that we have. What did we feel during those experiences? And that is why it is said, right, that we need to keep experiencing new experiences. Otherwise, you will stagnate, right? Now, the brain has to be kept active. Otherwise, it will start to shut down. So use all your sensory perception, do new things so that the brain is getting stimulated.
Number 6, most important, let the human mind of you seek out, experience, and add to your flow of consciousness where and when you encounter it. Drink it in, but watch out for the tendency to wallow in it due to the reminders of home contained therein. Beware of illusions and collusion, which make it sometimes difficult to sort out the real in the Earth life system environment.
So again, having new experiences again, but not getting addicted to it, right? Because sometimes an illusion can get created that we are from here and we need to constantly live here. And that is what puts us into a pattern and gets us stuck over here. We must understand that this is a place where we have come to learn. We've come of our own free will, and there's a lot more to explore apart from this life, Earth life system only.
7. Your human mind has a natural and normal proclivity to try to make things in the Earth life system much the way it is accustomed to in the there. History is full of such attempts, but in the end, the system always wins. An edge may have been frayed, but the predator animalism simply comes back, sometimes a bit smarter than before, and takes over. That does not mean you don't try in your human mind expression, and it is possible that you might change a part of it, but you will never change it all. If you did manage a complete overhaul, the system wouldn't and couldn't exist. Yet who knows how much longer it will exist anyway.
So again, we all like to be in familiar territory, that which is comfortable for us. So we will attempt to change things to what makes us feel comfortable. But that is not the game that we are playing here. We would like to experience the experience for the experience. So we must pay attention to what is happening and then get into the flow with it.
All the above points are knowns to others and are easy to verify for your own knowing through direct logical working of your left brain on each question or belief. Solidify your different overview by proving these for yourself and for yourself only.
So again, all this learning, all this experiencing is for our personal growth. It is for no one else's personal growth.
At this point, the Earth life system theme seemed complete, but it was not. Another part of me who knows deeply the Karth life system from another overview demanded to be heard. It was a long walk through the forest to reach the ocean. Along the way, the path was quite quiet except for the hum of insects and the occasional call of a crow high in the tall trees. In the lush undergrowth, a slight crackling of dry leaves told of small residents if one listened carefully. Under the fresh smell of growing green lay the deep aroma of moist earth and decaying vegetation, both silent signals of the life cycle in progress. There was a little wind as the soft rumble of surf grew steadily in strength. Then the forest ended and the grey-green sea spread out to the horizon. Stately, cumulus cloud towers drifting overhead through a clear, clean, azure sky. The grassy bank where the white beach began gave an irresistible invitation to ease down, lie back, and relax. The waves were gentle, placid, the breeze cool and soft. the sun warm and fresh. All comes to this, the beginning and the end of an eon's long period of time. This living mass of air, water, and land, what it gives and what it takes, what it produces.
So it's a matter of experiencing, it's a matter of increasing awareness.
It is more than awareness, more than consciousness, more than experience. It is more than intelligence, knowledge, truth, and understanding. The whole is so much greater than the sum of the parts.
So that's why when we go into whole brain states, we get more information than if we were operating only from the left or the right side of the brain.
It is such a wonderful learning process, learning to separate this from that and the differences and comparisons. Heat from cold, light from dark, noise from silence, strength from weakness, pain from comfort, thick from thin, rough from smooth, hard from soft, balance from instability.
So again, whenever we are differentiating, it means that we are measuring, and measuring can only happen from the left side of the brain. That's why what he's saying is that the left side of the brain is very important. Although in our cultures, we have given it too much of importance. Again, that also becomes a issue and a problem. So again, the target is to get into a whole brain state.
There is the learning of cause and effect, action and reaction, price and pain, authority and responsibility, and the options you learn to recognize: stop or start, hold or release, sink or swim, laugh or cry, friend or enemy, reward or retribution, success or failure, love or hate, win or lose, organization or chaos.
So again, cause and effect. This is the domain of the left side of the brain.
There is the learning to think, to coordinate, count, calculate, and communicate, to remember, connect, plan, and have ideas, to daydream, create, hope, believe, and know, and the ability to experience and express emotion, joy and ecstasy, sadness, compassion, loneliness, communion, righteous and irrational anger, and the appreciation of the beauty of form and movement.
So again, all experiences are learning experiences.
And there is the learning to learn words and numbers, writing, passing experience, knowledge and wisdom from parent to child, generation to generation without the trauma of reenactment. Learning to establish systems, laws, and rules that ensure this learning will continue and expand.
So again, the Earth life system is geared towards learning. However, we need to grasp and get into that learning mode. Otherwise, we will get stuck in traps. We'll start doing the same thing day in and day out, and there will be no learning which will take place.
There was little. Oh, sorry. And there is the learning to learn words and numbers, writing, passing experience, knowledge, and wisdom from parent to child, generation to generation, without the trauma of reenactment. Learning to establish systems, laws, and rules that ensure this learning will continue and expand. It is all there beyond the forest. It is in the ripening carpets of grain, the neat multi-million rows of nourishing plants, and the mills that reshape matter into more usable form. It is in the many different shelters that are labeled home, the tall and slender towers that reach for the sky, the motor vehicles that become a substitute body, the ships sailing around the world atop and beneath the oceans, the winged carriers that draw white lines in the sky, and the metallic birds that hover and circle the globe hundreds, thousands of miles above its surface, each delivering innumerable items of information, every second, day and night. And it is in this invisible yet measurable network of controlled radiation that serves for communication and local direction finding.
So again, there are a lot of things which are happening which need to be observed by us because again, it is a learning process.
And there is more, such as the amplification of perception through lens and mirror, and electronic ears to search the universe for a signal. Just one signal to assuage the loneliness, searching through stars, constellations, galaxies, novas, and black holes. There is the illogical thrust away from our blue planet to the nearby moon, where an indelible footprint was left in the dust. There is the ranging and reporting of surrogate explorers to view and land on other planets, and thence moving on into the blackness of deep space. Learn too of the steady unfolding of the patterns that once seemed inviolate in land, water, and air, of alloys, compounds, elements, atoms, molecules, nuclear particles, radiation, and waveforms of gravity, inertia, momentum, centrifugal force, polarity of the organic and inorganic, the living physical structures and their processes. Learn of the search for mind and creator, of belief systems, sleep and dreams, vision and visionaries, philosophies and religions. Learn also of love.
So many methods and so many places where we can learn from.
This, then, is the wondrous package of achievement through millennia of evolutionary effort that we may carry lightly and easily, but with triumph, into the far reaches beyond, a heritage of inestimable quality to be evaluated and applied in the there. Yet, and yet, among the clouds and the clamor, there is an uncomfortable sense of missing factor, vital and important. Turn your attention, and a small face appears amid the mass of other knowing. It is shaped less than human and more than monkey. The eyes are luminous with emotion. It is there, all of it, in the eyes, from across the span of timelessness, the carrier of the first spark of intelligent consciousness. The original ancestor looks out and observes with quiet pride and joy, with appreciation but not total comprehension, and with awe at the growth of the spark. It is the parent of a prodigal child.
So again, growing and learning, right? We can change the way that things are because of our growth, the way that it is occurring to us. Now, when we were born, we intended to be something. We intended to follow a certain path. But if we are not following the path, and most of us step out of the path, we can become something greater than what was actually envisaged. That's why Purusharth, that they say, that your effort, right, in doing things, in experiencing things is extremely important.
Here, seen clearly and cleanly, is one missing factor, the animal base. None of this could have happened but for its presence and provision. It was the living demonstration from which to learn, providing the flesh to be consumed, the milk to drink, the hides and furs to give warmth, the stronger back to share the burden, oil for light, and trinkets and amulets from tusk and horn. There was loyalty too, and a form of friendship, while there were some who found that fur and bear skin do mix and bring forth patterns of understanding far beyond anything envisioned. This animal energy was the driving force behind the spark. It provided not the catalyst, but the needs, motivations, and raw physical power. It is not to be hidden or demeaned, but included warmly and surely as the underlying essential without which nothing would have taken place. We must hold it up with pride for all to know.
So we all formed like the Darwinian theory, right? We formed from the smallest amoeba to the present day, what it was, what we are, right? So we are constantly using, and the animal system is also evolving. In fact, they say minerals also have consciousness. So minerals are also evolving. So first you become a mineral, the consciousness, and many mineral consciousness become an animal consciousness. And the animal consciousness, again, after millenniums of transformation and being present here, can become a human consciousness. That's what they say in the Hindu culture, at least.
And with the knowing, the little face smiles slightly, softly, even wistfully, then fades. It is time to move on. The walk back along the path through the forest is filled with greetings. A squirrel on a low branch looks down and chatters. A bottle green fly lands on a hand and enjoys gentle backstroking with a finger. Three turkeys stand aside and watch the passage curiously, but without weariness. A grey fox wanders onto the path and sits down, undecided as to whether to pay his respect. A thrush glides down and settles on a shoulder and chirps softly into an ear until the edge of the forest is reached. With a final peck on the cheek, it pulses its wings and returns to the middle branches. Goodbye, my friends, but I do take you with me.
So,
Chapter 8. Recall and Review. At this stage, it seemed sensible before going any further to search for the new direction and missing basic in the area where I spent most of my effort. After all, I had been involved with this left and right brain stuff for many years. Was there something that I had missed? Something that, even if it did not answer the questions, might point the way? Perhaps a review of what we had been and still are doing would be in order. I mentioned earlier my first out of body experiences in 1958, which turned my life around. At that time, the Research and Development Division of the corporation, which I headed, whose specialty was the sound production of network radio programs, had developed an efficient means by which sound could be used to induce sleep easily and comfortably. In the same year, a discovery was made that changed the entire direction of investigation and eventually of the corporation itself, that certain patterns of sound will induce different states of consciousness not ordinarily available to the human mind.
so this is how the game actually started. We started experimenting with frequencies and seeing what was the effect that happened in the mind and the brain of a person.
In the following decades, a continuing program of research brought additional verification of the effects produced by these states and of the specific sound combinations and frequencies needed to produce them. Methods and techniques were found to enable the individual to maintain and control various mind patterns. In 1971, the Monroe Institute was created out of the Research and Development Division to supplement the research effort. Later, the Institute became an independent educational and research organization. Thanks to the cooperation and input of hundreds of specialists and volunteers, including scientists, doctors, psychologists, educators, computer programmers, corporate executives, artists, and many others. The Institute is now internationally known for its work in this field.
So now the Monroe Institute is considered the foremost researcher of the effect of sound on consciousness in the world.
It should be made clear that the early research effort and expenditure were not aimed at the betterment of mankind nor intended to prove any point to the scientific community or the world at large. It was simply an attempt to control learning patterns during sleep and later to understand the relationships between mind, brain, body, and consciousness phenomena. Thus, until recently, no academic papers were published, and orthodox scientific methods followed wherever feasible, were often ignored when they proved unworkable. The methods developed contain no dogma or rituals, nor do they espouse any particular belief systems, religions, political or social stance. No drugs or chemicals are involved, nor are hypnosis, subliminal suggestions, or anything remotely resembling brainwashing. They are non invasive, and the individual is always in charge, exercising his or her own will and not under the command of another.
So again, the Monroe processes give you freedom. You are always in charge. You can shut it off anytime that you would like to. You can get out of that state of consciousness anytime that you would like to. So that is where it is different from processes like hypnosis and drug-induced states of consciousness.
Using the results of many thousands of hours of research, subjects are able to learn conscious control of many different and productive states of consciousness and the fallout from this exploration of consciousness has produced valuable contributions in a host of other areas. These include physical and mental health, learning and memory, physical coordination, creativity, problem solving, and stress management. The process, known as hemispheric synchronization or hemisync for short, provides its users with a self control tool to accomplish their own goals by facilitating and sustaining a purposefully focused, highly productive, coherent mind brain state.
So again, hemisync, which we most of us have already experienced, was a technology that actually ultimately got developed. And hemisync can have multiple applications. Most of you already have seen the catalog. You can use it for sleeping, for focused attention, for stress management, for enhanced learning, for enhanced well-being, for healing, for pain management. You name it and you can use it literally for anything.
Over the years, new approaches to ways of thinking have emerged at the Institute. Together they form, as we might say, a different overview. Consciousness is a continuum. In our focused wakefulness, we as human minds employ that part of the consciousness spectrum limited to time space. This is made possible by the device we identify as a physical body with its 5 physical senses. This physical body permits us to express externally our mind consciousness through physical activity and communication.
So again, when we are awake, that time we are more focused on the physical and the vehicle that we use to experience this experience, which is the human body. And we experience these experiences through the 5 senses, which allow us to, allow us to experience things.
Consciousness is a continuum. In our focused wakefulness, we as human minds employ that part of the consciousness spectrum limited to time space. This is made possible by the device we identify as a physical body with its 5 physical senses. The physical body permits us to express externally our mind consciousness through physical activity and communication. When this focusing is affected for any reason, our mind begins to drift along the consciousness spectrum away from time-space perception, becoming less aware of the immediate physical world. When this happens, we become conscious in another form. The fact that we often have difficulty in remembering correctly our participation in that other part of the consciousness spectrum does not negate its reality. The problem lies in perception and translation, diffused and distorted as they are by the use of current time-space systems of analysis and measurement.
So again, it's a spectrum. Again, in the excursion workshop, we talk about the percentage of the human mind involved in physical matter reality. Now, as we go into the higher states of consciousness, so-called higher states of consciousness, our connection with the physical reality starts to diminish, and we can start connecting to the consciousness more over there, right? Now, the idea to connect there is to download stuff from there, bring it into the Earth life system so that we can use that knowledge and information which is available there over here, right? So we shift states of consciousness, but consciousness is a continuum. We are here and there at the same time.
The spectrum of consciousness ranges seemingly endlessly beyond time space into other energy systems. It also continues downward through animal and plant life, possibly into the subatomic level. Everyday human consciousness is active commonly in only a small segment of the consciousness continuum.
So again, if you can go up, you can go deeper down, right, to the mineral world, right? Consciousness at the mineral level also exists, and we can actually connect there also. We have all the minerals in our body system. So the minerals are a part of us. We can connect into that state of consciousness also.
The phasing concept. The methods and techniques of the Institute can be identified as means to establish and control phases of consciousness. In the waking physical state, the untrained mind makes these phase shifts frequently, each day with little or no control.
So again, sometimes we are focused, sometimes we are defocused, sometimes we are awake, sometimes we are sleeping. Suddenly we'll fall asleep, or suddenly we will go into another state of consciousness. Most of the time, this happens without our awareness. But when we learn the techniques to go into these states at will, we can actually control it and be present as to where we are.
Primary phasing is the state where the mind is fully focused on physical sensory input or activity. Any deviation from this condition can be regarded as a phase shift, where some part or percentile of consciousness is, to a certain degree, aware in another form. One example is inattention, where physical sensory input remains strong, but part of the mind has wandered. What we call daydreaming is another introspection, where attention is turned away from physical awareness, is a more deliberate phase shift, as are certain meditative states. Sleep is a shift in phasing to another state of consciousness, where very little awareness of physical sensory input is taking place.
So if my mind is here and I'm somewhere else, or physically somewhere and I'm thinking of something else, I have moved away from the now, right? If a person is daydreaming, in meditative states, we are constantly going into other altered states of consciousness.
Ingestion of alcohol and certain drugs evokes split phase shifts, where part of consciousness is here and part in another area of the continuum. In these cases, when the stimulus is removed, the phasing fades. Psychosis and dementia are inadvertent instances, and in these conditions, drugs or chemicals may be employed to dim or eliminate the non-physical area.
So again, when a person has alcohol or drugs, you're not connected with the physical matter reality. You shift out, you phase out. And people who have Alzheimer's, dementia, they are also not present here, right? They're talking about something and they're not physically present here. So these are other phasings which can happen.
To understand the process clearly, we may consider the physical body as a tuning mechanism through which the human mind can operate in physical consciousness. As such, it contains circuitry that converts physical sensory patterns into forms that can be perceived by the mind, much as a radio or television receiver is tuned to a particular frequency band in the electromagnetic spectrum.
So now the physical body is a very, very highly tuned and sophisticated piece of equipment. If we can operate it with awareness, we can get a lot of information from the physical body itself. However, what has happened is we have all started paying less and very low attention to the physical body and what it is telling us, right? We can use it to fine tune our perceptions.
In these receivers, there is a discriminator section that filters out, for the most part, any distracting or distorting signals or harmonics from other parts of the spectrum.
So again, we are not, there's a subconscious mind and the conscious mind, right? The subconscious mind is observing everything, but the conscious mind does not have that bandwidth to process all the data. So what we are experiencing gets filtered out through a filtering system, and we get to be aware of a small portion of what the spectrum actually entails.
As we tune a radio receiver gradually from one station or frequency to another, one signal fades and another is faintly heard. The receiver is shifting out of phase with the original station to the point where another station can be heard simultaneously. As we continue retuning, the original station is no longer heard and the other signal takes over.
So this is something that we experienced when we used to watch Doordarshan also. The sound of one channel is coming and the picture of another. The tuners were not so high in precision previously. Now, of course, we have 1,000 channels coming into the TV, and each of them is more or less precise, right? So they tune very, very, very deeply into a certain frequency to get it onto our TV screen or into the radio station. But previously, there used to be an overlap. So I can be here and there, and there can be an overlap when you look at it from the states of consciousness.
The human mind, which also has access to a discriminator, acts in a similar way. The mind, untrained in the tuning process, drifts slowly out of control from one phase of consciousness to another. As it does so, signals are received partly from the physical mechanism and partly from a different segment of the consciousness continuum. The signal input from the physical state diminishes until no such signals reach the mind, which moves into the state generally known as sleep or unconsciousness.
So when we are going into sleep, the brain or the conscious awareness goes totally out of the body, right? This is what Robert Monroe also talked about in Far Journeys, where he talked about the sleep learning schools, where people are sleeping. When we are sleeping, we are actually going to school in over there, and then we come back. We are not consciously aware of it. That's why we don't know. But almost everyone goes out of body at night when we are in delta sleep.
The learning systems devised at the Institute offer a means to place these phase shifts under willful control of the individual. In the early stages of this learning, the mind becomes completely at ease and feels little fear or anxiety in the resulting changes. The reason for this is that these states of consciousness are familiar territory. It is the presentation in a new and organized form that makes the difference, where any changes are made deliberately by the mind itself.
So again, at the Monroe Institute programs, we learn how to actually manage these states of consciousness, right? Now, these states of consciousness are states which we are regularly visiting, but not in an organized manner. In the processes that we learn at the Institute's programs, we can go precisely to where we want to. And that is the difference between our experiences where we do not know what is happening and experiences after the Monroe programs where we know what is happening. Okay, so that makes it very much more powerful. I think we can stop here today.